performers and staff. Now, please welcome to our show, Women Through the Decades, your host, Miss Jamie Danger!
Innovative, strong, sensible, courageous, and a bit dominated by her husband. A woman you all know and love. Please welcome one of our women through the decades, Mrs. what's going on today. Liberate Archie? Oh. Didn't need no wealthy estates. Everybody pulled his weight. Gee, I'm over sour and gray. Come on, everybody. Those were the Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Don't you gentlemen just love the women? Do you love this woman? Come on. I don't know. We got a lot of women here, right? Let me hear you women. Let me hear you men. That's a woman over there. Would you scream out? Wait. Okay. Well, you know what? I'm going to bring out a woman who is very, very well known through the decades. And she comes from the history of the Bible. And as far as I know, oh, you're the woman from the Bible, right? What's your name again? Sarah. Sarah Huckabee, you've changed. You look wonderful. The pearls are gone. You look great.
Sarah, Abraham's wife.
Oh, you're not Sarah Huckabee. Excuse
And
me.
I am a woman of the decades like no other woman.
Ladies and gentlemen, put your hands together for Sarah.
It is a pleasure for me, Sarah, wife of Abraham and honored matriarch, to be before you today. But I must admit that people of your generation often complain about traveling from city to city. I traveled centuries to be here. Talk about jet lag. I will begin at the beginning, since there is no better place to start. When I was a child, my father would take my brothers and sisters and me and tell us the ancient stories. How one day the Lord said to Adam in the Garden of Eden, Adam, I will fashion a woman for thee. She will cook, she will clean, she will never speak unless spoken to, but this will cost you. This will cost you an arm and a leg. And Adam said, Lord, what have you got for a rib?
Someone found a letter you wrote me on the radio, and it told the world just how you felt. Must have fallen out in the hole of your old brown overcoat. I never said your name, but I knew just who they meant. Whoa, whoa, You make any pasta tonight? I am a woman that has come through this decade. Boy, I'll tell you, I gotta start changing my clothes because this is from the 70s, right? That was Donna Summers. And you know what? I would like to, at this moment, bring out a woman who is not only a woman of our decade now, 21st century. I want to introduce to you the star of our show and give her a Pacifica Forest Trace loud welcome applause, Miss Sheba Mason!
All right, how about a round of applause for Jamie and Sarah? Excited, you guys feeling good? Feeling pretty good. I usually feel good. You know why? I was raised to the very why. You need to turn this. So my name is Sheba Mason. My father is the comedian Jackie Mason, and I'm proud of it. Thanks. I am the product of a love affair, like I said earlier. So you see, everybody, remember, this is what you get when you don't use protection. You get a little comedian. Kind of looks like a hooker. I am proud of it, just sometimes I wish a better looking comedian was my father. You know? Like Woody Allen. Or Rosie O'Donnell. Thank you very much.
Ladies and gentlemen, have a nice round of applause for Sheba Mason! Sheba, come on out here, Ginger Ryder. Come on out here, let's take a couple of bows, because we were hard with money, did we not? Thank you very much. Now, I want you to stay where you are. Do not move. We need the house lights on, okay? We three are coming downstairs, and this is what we call a question and answer period. Now, Sheba Mason just told you, as you all well know, that her dad is the comic Jackie Mason, and Ginger Ryder was the woman who had the pastrami sandwich that Jackie Mason paid for and, come in here, produced this wonderful, adorable young lady. Don't go yet. answer. Who wants to ask Sheba or Ginger a question? Come on. We have a wandering microphone. Come on, you guys. Anything you want to know about growing up as Sheba Mason?
They're all beautiful here.
Well, that we know. How about Ginger? You want to tell us about that pastrami sandwich in Wolfie's?
Well, I was sitting in Wolfie's with my mother. I was about 25 years old in Miami Beach on Lincoln Road. Any of you know Wolfie's in Miami Beach on Lincoln Road? How many do? Like a lot of people.
Yeah.
So I was sitting there, and I didn't know pastrami wasn't good for you in those days. So I was eating a pastrami sandwich. A woman came over to the table, and she said, "Do you want to meet Jackie Mason?" And my mother said, "Jackie Mason, of course I do, certainly." And I said, "Who's Jackie Mason?" And she said, "He's my favorite comedian." And she dragged me over to Jackie's table after he invited us. So Jackie said, he said it to me. He said, "So, are you in Miami a long time?" And my mother said, "We just moved here 3 days ago, Jackie. Let me tell you, I love your act, and I've always been a great fan of yours." And Jackie said, thank you, you're no dummy." Then he turned to me and he said, "So what do you do for a living?" And my mother said, "My daughter is a teacher of the hearing impaired who belly dances on the side." He said, "She must also be a ventriloquist." I asked her a question and the answer comes out of your mouth.
Can I ask you to interject a question? What did you think of Jackie Mason's appearance when you first saw him? Apparently your mother was trying to schmooze and get you introduced to this famous star. We all know the show he was on. It was called Ed Sullivan, right? And so what did you think this guy looked like, sounded like, because he had an accent?
When I first met him that day, I thought, oh my God, I can't go out with this man. He's like 25 years older than I am. Then I met him. He called me about 2 days later where I was belly dancing in some Greek nightclub while I was a college student. And I met him at Denny's, like on Collins Avenue, like around the 60s.
Yeah.
And within 20 minutes, I fell madly in love with him, believe it or not. He had these compelling blue-gray eyes. He was so funny. He was so brilliant. Forget my football player boyfriend. I wanted him.
Now, what do you think of this romance, little lady?
Well, you know, here I am because of that romance.
We like that. So the shidduch was a good one, right? It was a good romance. Thank you to your mother with her chutzpah.
It wasn't easy. He had so many women. I mean, I knew the man for 10 years. I have a play called the Jackie Mason Musical. It's been touring across the nation. It's pre-Broadway. I have some investors. We've been doing it a long time now. Sheba plays me.
And I get pregnant with myself.
And what was your question?
I don't know. How many people would like to ask the girls a question? Anybody want to ask a question about Jackie?
We got a question back there.
Come on, question. Where's the question? Here I come. I'm coming. This is like the Sally Jesse Raphael show.
Is Jackie Mason still alive?
Yes.
He's very alive.
He lives a block away from Sheba. Sheba lives in Manhattan.
Sheba, tell the story of when you were walking down the street.
Well, I would like to tell you, though, our relationship is getting a lot better. We're getting a lot closer. Like last week, I saw him on the street, and he actually recognized me. And I know he recognized me because the minute he saw me, he ran the other way.
Oh, he's a nice guy. Tell us what kind of clubs you play in Manhattan. We know you're a big superstar in Manhattan.
Oh, I'm at all the different clubs in Manhattan, you know, Broadway Comedy Club and Gotham Comedy Club and Stand-Up New York. I travel around and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, remember the days when Seinfeld was coming up and all the comics, the stand-up comics were coming up? She's from that new generation of comedians that came up through the stand-up circuit. Remember when, what's her name, the big fat one, Rosie? Not Rosie O'Donnell. The one with the Roseanne. I mean, that's a very hard thing to do, to stand in front of people. Look at me, listen to me, and laugh.
I know.
You know? How many other questions do we have? Here we go. Come here, Sandra.
Is Jackie still performing his comic as a comedian?
He does perform, but the last 2 times he performed, less than a year, within a year ago, Kravis and what was the other one? What was it called? Woodbury?
In Long Island?
Long Island, what's it called?
Woodbury?
Yeah, Woodbury.
Oh, Woodbury.
Yeah, he performed, but sometimes he's been having like a little bit of trouble with his memory. He's close to 90 or not. He always, all I know is when I knew him, he said he was 46. So a year later I said to him, are you 47 now? He said, no, I was 46 last year, this year I'm 42. So you really don't know really how old he is, but he is amazing. He still performs. He does political commentary on Breitbart. You know, do you have a question? Is your hand up? Well, he says he's 87.
Who's 87?
He says he's 87, but I think he might be old.
Studied for the rabbit.
Jackie was a rabbi. His 3 brothers were rabbis. I knew his whole family. He had 3 sisters and 3 brothers. He was the youngest. And he was like always a spoiled brat in the family because he was the youngest. And he always had, you know, when you're the youngest and you're the cutest, you wear that with you your entire life.
Ginger, how did he go from having a rabbinical background to actually becoming a comic, making it on the Ed Sullivan Show? How did that transition?
Well, he told me that when he was a rabbi, I think it was North Carolina, when he was in his 20s, he said that all he could think about was the beautiful blonde in the 4th row, and he couldn't think about God. All he could think was, thank you, God, for the beautiful blonde in the 4th row. I mean, he was a total womanizer, and I knew it. I mean, when I had to sue him for paternity after knowing him 10 years. I had to take him to court. But DNA, all of a sudden, all these other women started to show up. I had a relationship with him. I had a relationship with him. My aunt, my sister's niece. I never saw a man who had so many women in my entire life. And Sheba just saw him 2 days ago sitting at the Applejack Diner on Broadway with 2 brunettes.
And so,
She's still carrying on.
Tell us.
I just.
He was eating an Applejack with 2 women?
He was at the Applejack Diner with 2 brunettes.
Well, you know what? Last, as we close up the show tonight, I'd like to say Jackie Mason has missed out on 2 of the most fantastic women, Ginger Ryder and their beautiful